Hello and welcome to the News9 Plus Show on the world's first news and current affairs OTT platform, News9 Plus. 37 days, 7 terror attacks. That's what we've seen in Jammu this past month. In the latest attack, an army officer and 3 other army personnel were killed in Jammu's Doda district. Joining me on the News9 Plus Show tonight is Lt Gen Satish Dua, one of the planners of the 2016 surgical strikes. I'll be asking him about the timing of these attacks and whether these warrant a retaliation by India. Also joining us is Lt Gen Sanjay Kulkarni, former Director General Infantry. And also joining us is my colleague Aditya Raj Kaul in the studios at News9 Plus. Gentlemen, welcome to the News9 Plus Show. General Dua, I want to start by asking you this. You know, it's been 8 years since India launched surgical strikes on Pakistan. Do you think the time has come for another set of attacks to tell the Pakistan deep state that these kind of attacks won't go unpunished?
Sandeep, first of all, allow me to offer my condolences to the families of those killed in action and also to the units of those of the soldiers and the officer, because units are also families in the army. Coming to your question, a straight answer to your question would be an oversimplification. I mean, a short answer to your question would be an oversimplification. Allow me to say that what has happened in the last, you pointed out some statistics, and we have seen how south of Pir Panjal region, the Jammu region, has been activated over the last more than a month or so. There is a clear design to activate the so far dormant areas.
Right.
And why is this being done? It is being done because in the valley, the grid is very tight. There is no stone pelting on the road. There is no violence on the streets. There is no band. There are no hartals. There are schools are opening. Tourists are coming in droves. So all that is happening, and there is a at least on the surface, there is a move towards normalcy.
Right.
Then there is a talk of the elections. Now, the elections have to be held in the next couple of months. When all this is happening, the terrorists want to instill fear in the minds of the people, and that is why they are going on to the south of Pir Panjal, and then all the terror attacks we've seen, so many casualties among security force personnel that we've seen. But to your question now, whether this is a time to do another surgical strike, I would put it this way. There is a need for a bold response.
Right.
There is a need to create turbulence amongst the terrorist ranks, because so far they are using hit and scoot tactics. They are using soft targets. They are targeting, even up certain community. Pilgrims have been targeted. So they are doing all this. So we need to do something to create turbulence in their comfort zones. So what shape that will take? Will it be a strike across into the terrorist camps across the border, or it is going to be a precision strikes like we did earlier? Because no two attacks, no two responses will be same. Or take your mind back to 10, 11 years ago, there was this huge operation called Sarvinash in the south of Pir Panjal in Hill Kaka areas. Yes, 2003. And then also what we did is we created a very big operation which yielded good results, which threw the terrorist networks out of gear. And that's what we need to do. We need to take some bold measures with all of government and all of security nation approach to not just remain defensive all the time. We need to create turbulence. And last sentence, it is easy for us to discuss. I'm sure the planners, the strategists, the leader, the military leadership and the leadership themselves are deciding, are taking measures as to what shape their response will take.
Absolutely. We need to instill fear. We need to bring in turbulence in the ranks of the terrorists. General Sanjay Kulkarni, you're very adept at creating turbulence. I remember when you climbed up in Siachen, and that was an international incident where India captured Siachen 4 decades ago. That was a remarkable move by India, a proactive move by India. But now, 40 years later, when you're faced with this wave of terror attacks in the southern part of Jammu and Kashmir, the soft underbelly which has been unguarded for so long. What are the options before India really? As General Dua mentioned, what is the kind of bold response that we could offer to put the terrorists on the back foot?
See, Sandeep, I would first and foremost go along with General Dua to pay my respects to the dear departed. One feels very bad, and especially because I have commanded in that same area, so I know what it means. Yes, I would go along with them to say that we have to raise the cost for Pakistan.
Right.
There is no denying the fact. And that is absolutely essential. But then it has to be orchestrated in a manner that Pakistan must feel the pinch. Pakistan must not think that this proxy war can carry on. That Pakistan must not feel this bleeding India with 1,000 cuts is something which is a low-cost option and carry on. And now being instigated by China that keep India boxed in South Asia and let them not progress, let them not do anything. And again, lots of people within our own country, whether the political parties or people of prominence, eminence, whatever it is, being seen as clearly division, polarized society, where you have, whatever you might want to say, you will come out with something which is totally very annoying, I would say that way. So until and unless we as a nation stand united, that we have to raise the cost for Pakistan. Now to say that we need to go just knee-jerk reaction, hit here, hit there, well, that's not the only way. We have to raise the cost. How do we go about it? That's what is very important, because as you rightly said, 37 days and so many people, and does, as a soldier in once in uniform, I can understand how difficult it is for the CEO of 10RR who's just lost an officer, and how difficult it must be for everybody over there. And everybody, let me tell you, everybody, Sandeep, must be working day in and day out to ensure that these incidents don't come up. But, well, Pakistan, and again, there are lots of people, OGWs, there are people who are here within us also trying to, giving them local support, ensuring that the way in, you cannot move in forested area of Doda, Kishtwar, Bhadarwa without knowing the knowledge, having the knowledge of that area. That knowledge of the area is absolutely essential. These forests, you cannot live off the land in this forested area. You have to have people supporting you with food, with shelter, with clothing, all of it that you want to have. There are people living in higher reaches. Now is the time you find all these bakarwal moving around with their sheep, goat, horses, cows, buffaloes, everybody on the higher reaches. So these are the people who are mingling with them. Then some people who probably have been bought, because all said and done, until and unless, as I say, like fish can't live without water, so can't these terrorists without local support. So where is this local support coming from? And we have to hit them hard, no question. I know you will have families. Yeah, I've served in Doda, Thatri, Kishtwar, Bhadarwa area. So I know there will be families. One is a militant. Yet another one in the same family is working in Anganwadi. Yet another is a businessman. The fourth one is an engineer somewhere. The fifth one is a government employee. You find and you tell that family, why don't you get this boy surrender? Oh, you can kill him. Then says, Janab, ab maar do. Ye hamari sunta nahi hai. And but that family is enjoying the goodwill of having a boy who's a militant from within the family. And therefore, until and unless the costs are risen, even in India, that if we find any family involved with it, we give you a certain time, you can't, then you are also going to pay a cost for it. Until and unless we raise the cost for the Pakistanis, we have to raise the cost for those who are supporting those Pakistanis in India.
Aditya, this is new. I mean, Jammu, a region that hasn't seen terror attacks in several years, and now you have General Kulkarni talking about local support. They clearly could not have survived for so long, for several months now, without some kind of local support, logistics, food, shelter, clothing, all of this. What do you know, what are you hearing about the kind of local support that these terrorists are getting in Jammu?
You know, there's no doubt in my mind, Sandeep, that what General Kulkarni mentioned about the local support is very much true. But first I'll come to the larger point. And the larger point is that I've been trying to calculate and understand and analyze this for a month now, what's been happening in Jammu. And try to redraw over the last 3 years, ever since the ceasefire actually began, 3 to 4 years. I think ceasefire has been a mistake. I think ceasefire has been a blunder, which was done in a goodwill gesture so that the local population is benefited, which they did on both sides. But strategically, I think it's been a miscalculation. The Pakistanis, the Pakistani deep state and the proxy groups have used this to their advantage. They have sneaked in their men at a very appropriate time when the third term of the Modi government began. And
Right.
it began with a bang, unfortunately,
Yes.
when the Riyasi terror attack happened, gradually in
Right.
Kathua, Doda, and we have seen frequent terror attacks. We have lost almost 15 men
Yes.
in the last less than 40 days,
Right.
with 7 to 9 terror attacks actually taking place. This is a huge challenge. I would say,
Absolutely.
and go on to
Yes.
say, that counterintelligence has been the weakest, unfortunately, in Jammu. And one larger point also, Sandeep, is that, what the J&K police really does, and J&K police is a very competent organization, one of
Yes.
the best counter-terror organizations in the country.
Especially the SOG.
Absolutely. The
Right.
SOG is the lead in
Yeah.
all such operations, including the intelligence gathering capabilities that they have.
Yes.
What they do is that several times young officers are
Right.
put in charge as SSPs or deputy SPs in this area.
Yes.
We also have officials from other districts coming in to Rajouri, Kishtwar, Poonch and all this belt. They take time to understand the location.
Right.
They take time to analyze the, how the movements of the terrorists could actually take place, how the
Yes.
radicalization can creep in. What also happens is that if you have locals who have dealt with terrorism in this area,
Yes.
if you have locals who have been there, who understand the language, who
Right.
understand the nuances of the communities, the Gujjars, Bakarwals, the Hindu community, the Shias and the Sunnis, they would be far more competent to handle the situation. So I would recommend
Yes.
that old officials who have dealt with terrorism can be consulted, and secondly, put people from Kishtwar in Kishtwar, from Rajouri in
Yes.
Rajouri, and try to understand how counter-terrorism can be picked up. And of course, there is a multiple challenge of
Yeah.
a large group of terrorists that has sneaked in almost a month ago,
Right.
and they've been carrying out these terror attacks. They've been hiding very, very easily. Old routes are being used, and
Yes.
Chinese encrypted devices, other devices that cannot be cracked, are
Right.
also being used by them. So there are multiple levels of problems, and the larger question of Pakistan.
Yes.
Today there's been an attack in Bannu Cant where 8
Right.
Pakistani soldiers have been killed,
Right.
apparently by one of the groups situated in Afghanistan. But I certainly would want that the Modi government, which had a great track record
Yes.
of national security in Modi 1 and Modi 2,
Absolutely.
continue with that in Modi 3, because in the last 40 days, we haven't seen any kind of retaliation.
Yes.
In the messaging, we are the weakest on social media.
Right.
We are obviously expressing our condolence, deepest sympathy with the families of
Yes.
the people who have sacrificed their life. But where's the retaliation? Where's the response?
Where's the
the
response?
Prime Minister and the Defense Minister on ground,
Right.
trying to understand the situation, be with the people, and say that a strong response will be
Right.
given?
A strong response will be given indeed. And General Dua, you were mentioning the same, that you need a bold response. Do you think that there is a threshold beyond which we may not strike Pakistan? And I think we've in the past also kind of highlighted that threshold, which is a large casualty of our brave soldiers, or the fact that if a very a very high value target was attacked by these terrorists, only then we would respond. You think we may have made a mistake by setting that kind of a threshold, allowing this Pakistan deep state to go in for these low level kind of attacks, small attacks, as Aditya mentioned, across over a month, adding up to a big picture, but there's no one big attack. How do you respond to this kind of rash of terror attacks, small little attacks, 7, 8 over a period of 1 month?
Sandeep, I'll put it this way. How much is large enough? Pulwama was 40,
Yes,
but Uri was 18.
right.
You see, so I don't think you can put a data to it. How much is it? Will 10 not be enough? Will it be 12? So, to lay down a threshold purely in terms of numbers would not be correct.
Right.
I mean, if you take your mind back to 2016, that is the year when Pathankot happened. Before Uri happened, I was the
Yes.
corps commander there. Before that, the Pathankot happened a few months before that. After that, there was a massive attack in EDI building in Pampur, where terrorists took over 6-storied building, and then
Yes.
we had to take out 66 hostages. That went on for a couple of days. That was a
Yes.
high-flying operation. So, high-profile operation. So, I think it is not to do with numbers.
Right.
It is to do with the context. And today, I think the context is that in the run-up to the elections, on the back of things improving towards or moving towards normalcy in Kashmir, and the elections, that is the Lok Sabha elections, haven't gone off fairly peacefully and with a good turnout. This is the time when they're trying to activate these areas. Here, soldiers have taken hits.
Yes.
There have been multiple. There have been multiple targets, soft targets, in the Riasi in the attack. The number of people killed were fortunately lesser than was the potential. The whole bus did fall down, and that's all
Yes.
saved people. And the terrorists ran away. Otherwise, it could have gone up to the numbers of Pulwama. So the point is, we have to see it in that light, and
Right.
that's where I would reiterate what I said. I think the time has come for a bold response. What
Yes.
shape that response will take is for the leadership to decide, both the leadership at the national level and the military leadership to decide.
Right. Very important point there, General Dua. It's the context and not the numbers. And of course, as you've emphasized earlier as well, the time has come for a bold response. General Kulkarni, how do you respond to a country like Pakistan, which is absolutely okay with losing thousands of its citizens? They've been fighting a war against us, an undeclared war for over 3 decades, where they willingly sacrifice thousands of their citizens across the border. I don't think there's any example of any other country in the world that so callously treats its citizens, pushes them across the border as cannon fodder. How do you raise the cost for a country like this?
See, Sandeep, if you look at Pakistan, way back in 1947, there were 137 madrasas. And by the time it was about 1976, they had about something like 900. And today, and subsequently when Ziaul Haq took over and then started his, what he called is Nawaz-e-Mustafa, and there were 10,000 madrasas, over 15 lakh and 30 lakh children studying in these madrasas. The radicalization has gone down to all of the society in Pakistan. So you have to raise the cost for them. If you don't raise the cost in the sense, just a knee-jerk reaction, striking here, striking there, doesn't matter. What is it? We also have to succeed on ground to be able to identify those overground workers. We have to identify those people who have been supporting them. One or two does, it is across the board. There should be fear instilled in India also amongst those people, staying closer to that should they be caught, they are finished. Not only they are finished, the families, everything is all over. Unless that cause, because there are so many factors that play. Religion is just one, money is yet another.
Yes.
There's just a kind of, joining them for whatever the reason it is. Pakistan is our enemy. There is the doubt. For all these years, we call it a proxy war. Is it a proxy war? It's gone much, much, much beyond it. We've lost so many lives over the years. Now, what kind of a proxy war is this? Pakistan is maintaining and managing it below the threshold so that you
Yes.
cannot just react like this. We in the world are talking about wanting peace. We are talking diplomacy. We are talking talks and not terror and not strife. Here you have now China deeply entrenched into Pakistan. They're very much there in Gilgit-Baltistan. They're so much into Baluchistan. So you find it's getting more difficult day by the day. But at least the least we can do is to make sure that Pakistan, whether anti-infiltration, prevent infiltration, no question of infiltration coming in. Whatever it be, use all means possible. And at the same time, use your technical and human end to ensure that Pakistan will show its relevance. Valley,
Absolutely.
again in the valley, you see in Kupwara, you see in Kulgam, you see the kind of hideouts that they have. You see if Rashid Engineer can win Lok Sabha elections, do
Yes.
tell us that the mindset has not changed. There are 4.5 lakh people who have supported him and brought him to the parliament. A man who is in jail for the last 5 years for what? Nothing but terror funding. A separatist, everybody
Absolutely.
knows. But there he takes oath. And there, so you have a mindset in the valley. You have a mindset over here. Pakistan is exploiting that. And Pakistan is seen very clearly that there is a divide in India. There are
Yes.
people in India who can sleep with the enemy. And so they are exploiting it.
Absolutely.
They are your enemy. Pakistan
you.
is an enemy. So it's doing what it is doing.
Pakistan is the enemy, is doing what it's doing, and the Indian state as well should do what it needs to do. As General Dua mentioned, the time has come for a bold response, possibly surgical strikes, possibly airstrikes. Who knows what responses are being planned. But the fact is that terror and talks don't go hand in hand, Aditya, and it's very clear now that the time might have come to instill terror into the minds of the terrorists, as our experts have told us this evening. But thank you very much for joining us, Lt Kulkarni, Lt Dua, and my colleague Aditya Raj Kaul. They are India's ghost villages. They are located on the boundary with China. There are over 180 such villages along Uttarakhand's borders alone. And a new report has just been submitted to the state chief minister that says that 11 of Uttarakhand's 137 villages are totally empty. And in contrast, China plans 400 villages on the eastern sector along the boundary with India. Uttarakhand shares a 350-kilometer boundary with China. What are these ghost villages that the state is so worried about, and why should India worry really? To discuss this, I have with me today Lt Gen Rakesh Sharma, my colleague Nivriti Mohan, and Maj Gorki Chandola. Gentlemen, welcome to the News9 Plus Show. General Sharma, I want to start by asking you this. Why should India worry about ghost villages, depopulation of our villages along the boundary with China? Why should that be such a national concern?
The first fact is that, this latest report doesn't take into cognizance the previous report submitted on the same issue.
Yes.
There was a census carried out in 2011 where it was stated that about 1,200 villages are vacated already. I mean, they're being called ghost villages. That time
Yes.
the census called them ghost villages in Uttarakhand, and later on it was established that 800 more. So about 2,000 villages on Uttarakhand Tibet border are stand vacated today.
Right.
There was a migration commission made by the Uttarakhand government in 2017. Now it submitted a report in 22 where they said in the 4 years between 18 and 22,
Right.
another 330,000 people have migrated. Now, what happens is that it causes a whole lot of problems here. First is that, people go down and merge across with the cities, the cultural loss of people,
Yes.
of the language, of their eating habits, and of course there is a pressure being built up on the urban areas.
Right.
And Uttarakhand villages largely shift to Udhampur Nagar or to Dehradun or to Nainital,
Yes.
areas which are already, breaking off the seams.
Right.
Second issue is that the villages by themselves, having been vacated, there is no, kind of domination that was being carried out, say, by shepherds or by Gujjars or by people who used to take their animals up for grazing in summer months. So there is no connect left to the border except for the military. That connect, if you recollect, in Kargil, it was one of the shepherds who mentioned that there has been infiltration here. The domination of these villages and lived-in status is absolutely important. And it cannot be pushed away by any manner as not important. And as time is passing, there is increasingly more and more people vacating there. Maybe all are not permanently vacated, but
Yes.
even temporary. This is a serious issue. And I think the government's policy of vibrant villages was excellent
Yes.
policy that the government came up with 2-3 years ago. Only thing is that it has to be now put into effect as to how do we do it. And you rightly pointed out that the Chinese actually have 626 odd villages, the Kyokang villages that
Yes.
they have, put across right next to the borders. Some of them are so close that they are visible from own sides.
Yes.
They are changing the character of the demography of that area.
Right,
And
absolutely.
we are doing the same thing negatively. We are changing
Yes.
the demography of that area by allowing people to move back.
Right.
Now, there are serious issues as to why it is happening. There are socio-economic issues. There are issues pertaining to animals there. There is
Yes.
climate change. There are animals there which come and target these people across there. So there are plethora of reasons why people are doing so.
Right.
But actually, fact of the matter is, it's a very, very important issue.
It's a very important issue, General Sharma, and as you mentioned, it's 25 years since the day that the shepherds at Kargil alerted the Indian army of intruders in Kargil, and the fact that it's shepherds, it's the villagers along the frontier that are actually the eyes and the ears of the state. The sons of the soil who stay there, they actually alert the government on what's going on the border, and especially given the situation that we have with China along the line of actual control, we need every single pair of eyes and ears that we can get. But I want to bring in Major Gorki Chandola in on this. Major Chandola, you run Patal homestays, and one of your objectives is to get a lot of tourists to the frontier villages, to the border villages, to get some kind of activity along there, commercial activity. Tell us how successful you've been. What are the challenges you've really faced in, reviving commerce along the villages of the LAC?
Well, firstly, thank you so much for inviting here. Like General Sharma says, so there are two points here. One is the border situation that we have. Also, is the situation of our state of Uttarakhand that we are in. 80% of the state was in the hills, is still in the hills geographically. But it's only about 10% population that is now remaining in the hills. And there are issues right from, basic living standards to opportunities for job, etc. Because of the geographical, the way the geography is, the farming per se used to be, it still is being done only for one's own consumption. And, the farming is not really of the level that it can be done commercially. It is non-viable in most of the places.
It's subsistence farming, yes.
That's correct. So, for want of jobs and opportunities, people like General Sharma also mentioned, and you also said, people have moved to larger cities like Delhi and Bangalore, Bombay. In case of Uttarakhand, Dehradun, Haldwani, these places have been clogged. So what we tried to do was, we tried to do up these old mud houses, the houses which were there in the villages, which have seen almost century plus old homes, which have been standing there, but they had become, people left them and slowly they just
disintegrate. Yes.
Yeah, and then that's how we started calling these villages as ghost villages. So we started reconstructing these dilapidated homes, and we converted them to homestays. And we have found a lot of people who are coming to us from various parts of the world, and they're very happy to come and stay in these homes. So it has given at a very small level, I would say, but it has given some positive influence to the economy in and around, and people have also started coming in.
Right. It's a different way of fixing this problem, Nivriti, as Major Chandola mentioned, fixing homestays, repairing these old villages. But you're one of those few correspondents who actually traveled along the border and seen both our villages and the Chinese new villages that General Sharma mentioned, the Chaokyang villages, however it's pronounced. But the government has earmarked a lot of funds for this. The Home Ministry, 4,800 crore last year. How is that money being spent really? Is it being visible on the ground?
See, not exactly the Vibrant Villages program.
The Vibrant Villages program, yes.
It is still to come in force, as General Sharma also mentioned. But yes, there are 3,000 villages that are being undertaken under this.
All along the line of actual control.
Yes, in 19 districts and 40 blocks have been shortlisted for this. And the border villages falling in these 19 districts along the borders in Uttarakhand, Himachal, Ladakh, Arunachal Pradesh are being covered. Now, out of these 3,000 villages, in the first phase of Vibrant Villages program, around 600 border villages have been taken up, for which government is spending 4,800 crores rupees. Particularly to build roads. Most of the budget is being spent on constructing roads, because when roads are built, that everything
falls into place. Absolutely, education, health, all of that gets a boost.
So this is it's not only Vibrant Villages program that is working in this direction, because as you also said that we have done a series of 2 to 3 stories on the border villages, in which we went to Niti village for the first episode, where we found some areas where government needs to work.
Yes.
So in Niti village, they did not have a proper medical center. They
Right.
didn't, there was a school, but it was not running. They did not have water. So all these complaints were made by the residents of Niti village. Now, if you consider some figures in
Yes.
2011 census, which says that Niti village had around 29 households.
Yes.
And 47 residents were there.
Right. Out
Now
of a
in-
population of over 1,000 at one point. It's
Yes.
just come down to that.
Yes, and if you consider the Gazetteer of Garhwal Himalayas,
Yes.
which was published in 1910,
Yes.
it says that there were 250 households then.
Right.
So it has reduced from 250 to 29.
250 households to just 29 households. But
Not
you know,
even 29, actually 11 households.
I want to ask General Sharma this question. General Sharma, you know, is there a need for some out-of-the-box thinking here? The MHA has done what it, you know, ought to have done, which is earmark funds, 4,800 crore. It's a large sum, $500 million almost. But apart from that, is there a need for some out-of-the-box solutions like using ex-servicemen like Major Chandola to go into those areas, start industries there, possibly do tourism there to, you know, generate some kind of livelihoods in the thing? Because the reason that locals leave there is because there's no connectivity, there's no hospitals, there's no schools, there's nothing. So what are the other kind of solutions that you have that the government could look at possibly to fix this problem? Just like possibly what the Chinese have done in their dual-use villages.
So I don't know what the Chinese have done. Can we do it? Chinese are using a stick, and by using a stick, they are using demographic changes being
Yes.
carried out by forcing people. We
Right.
are a democracy, and we can't follow Chinese, and we need not follow Chinese also.
Right.
Now the fact is that we are an aspirational society.
Yes, yes.
Everybody aspires. Now the Prime
Absolutely.
Minister himself says there is, and everybody else, you know, he wants his child to grow up
Yes.
into be educated. Now, if there are 28 households, when Nivriti says, how can you possibly run a school for 28
You can't.
households? And if one village to another village is a strong distance away, then you can't even collect children into a central place to run it.
Yes.
So, you know, this requires, see, there is a village which I think Nivriti had gone and seen, or somebody from your channel had gone and seen Hanle. Now, Hanle,
Yes.
as a village, was adopted by people who were doing only educational work. So
Yes.
I think there's an NGO called 17,000. You know, that NGO is only working on education in Ladakh, into the far-flung areas, where they are now, they go for 4-5 months a year, where they teach children, and, you know, they involve the families there, also helping out in, say, Pashmina shawl work across
Yes.
there, or things like that. So, you know, what government can do, only government can do. But
Yes.
there are sufficient amount of opportunities for the NGOs to start working. And
Absolutely.
I've seen Hanle myself. And Hanle, you know, it's that far, close to Chumar. But, you know, the people, the working out there has been fantastic done. And I got one more point to make. I think, you know, many places you go, they are rich in many other ways, minerals,
Yeah.
say, or you know, like if you go to Ladakh, there are those colored hills. We obviously carry some metals and some minerals there.
Yeah.
The Chinese have found, say, for example, like Saichen, a full hill of copper only. So now you look, they are trying to exploit this. Now we have not even thought about those lines as to where is there a possibility of having some kind of commercial activities being carried out
Yes.
closer to the borders, which are of imaginative kind, and, you know, you can find out something. Small townships can come up based on many. Terry was a small village at one time.
Yes.
After the dam came up, Terry shifted on top, and, you know, Terry became a city by itself. So, you know, it's question of developmental work focused to each area.
Yes.
in a different manner altogether. You know, I've been to Niti Pass and Mana Pass. You know, there used to be houses, we used to go and stay there. Now, lately you go, there is nobody. You are just driving. And, you know, I salute Major Chandola for what he's doing there. He's son of the soil. I am also Dehradun type. But the fact of the matter is, this is not a very strong work. We require to get people involved to stay there
Yeah.
and to till their maize, pulses, whatever they were able to get modern farming there,
Right.
and provide a hospital. You can't have a pregnant lady being brought from Niti Pass to say Joshimath, or from or from Chamoli taken down to Srinagar Hospital. It's too far, just too far. We need to provide all assistance, including 5G. Why
Yes.
everybody now is computer savvy. You can't say you can only go down to Badrinath or to Joshimath to find a 5G connection. That's not the way things are done.
Right.
We got to change.
Right, absolutely. Bijli, Sadak, Pani and broadband, of course, is one of the key essentials. But, you know, and the Indian state, as General Sharma put it so correctly, can't use the Chinese stick. But what we certainly can do is use the carrot approach and possibly grow your own carrots there. Organic farming, who knows? But that's some of the out-of-the-box solutions that we need to look at in addition to what the government is doing, because with a unpredictable neighbor along your northern boundary like China that's working hard to repopulate its borders, create villages where there are none, the last thing that India can afford to have is ghost villages all along its frontier. But thank you very much, General Sharma, Major Chandola and my colleague Nivriti Mohan for joining us to discuss this issue that's seized the government now, the prospect of seeing hundreds and thousands of ghost villages along its frontier with China.